Okay, we're back, everybody. Hopefully for a while. Oh man. Ah, I'm sorry. This
Why is
is
internet garbo?
miserable, miserable. And
Why?
now, oh, lovely. Now I don't have this. All right, let's turn off restream and turn that back on. All right, sorry. Well, this is, yeah, how do we fix that? That's right, Charlie. This is crazy. Oh man. I love it when there's 25 people watching and the thing crashes. What happens is that my internet sucks donkey balls over and over. Over and over. And then I have to make new streams for every channel and do a whole thing, and everything that I promoted and every link is now gone, and I want to put my fist through a wall. And
You shouldn't.
welcome to the
But
Indie Media
don't do
Awards,
that.
everybody, where we honor the best of the best.
It's independent. Independent.
Welcome to Fuck It, We Do It Live as we're independent. Yep, because
Yep.
life sucks as an independent when you have to deal with the garbage bandwidth of Optimum. We were halfway through a story, everybody, and we were talking about how NewsGuard is suing the federal government. Yes, you suck, federal government, for being nanny state fucking censorship douchebags. It's probably these assholes that are listening and fucking doing it. Oh, and now we're being throttled. Okay, so change the resolution from 144 PX Desert Mantis up to 1080p. They're fucking throttling me on top of this. This is dog shit. On top of the fact,
I don't think you are at 14.
What?
But I think you're at 1080.
Well, we're streaming it out at that, but what's happening is that Desert is being throttled because YouTube is not liking what we do. So you know what?
Yeah.
Go over to rockfin.com/INN, rockfin.com/IND left news. We can go over to
Or Rumble.
rumble.com/C/independent left news. You can go over to rumble.com/C/IND left news. You can go just about anywhere. All right, let's get back to this shit. All right, so NewsGuard is sued for is being sued by Consortium News Indie Media Award honoree. I'm playing the sound because yours isn't working. Now, that cut off at the end.
Yeah, I cut it off. It's okay.
First Amendment rights of all American media threatened by this arrangement with the Defense Department to defame and abridge the speech of U.S. media groups, and apparently the speech of Indie. And that's Bruce Hafran, Consortium News attorney. And yeah. So when media groups are condemned by the U.S. government, by the government as anti-U.S., and they're accused of publishing false content, quote unquote, because they disagree with U.S. policies.
Malinformation.
Right?
It's malinformation.
Dude, I'm hearing feedback in your mic. It's got to be you. You're too close. It's when I'm talking, I'm hearing an echo, which is your headphones to your microphone. Your headphones are too close. When media groups are condemned by U.S. now I don't hear it, or U.S. government as anti-U.S. and are accused of publishing false content, quote unquote, because they disagree with U.S. policies, the result is self-censorship and a destruction of the public debate intended by the First Amendment. 100%, Bruce. So here's what they're contending is that NewsGuard uses its software, and this was revealed in the Twitter files, to tag targeted news sites, including all 20,000 plus Consortium News articles on videos published since 1995, with warnings to proceed with caution. Nonsense. Censorship. Because it's telling NewsGuard subscribers and all the media organizations that subscribe to this garbage crap that Consortium News produces disinformation and false content and this anti-U.S. media organization, even though they took issue with a total of 6 Consortium News articles and none of its videos out of all 20,000 plus. Garbage. The suit comes at a time when many in Congress and elsewhere have charged the U.S. government with using private entities and internet platforms as proxies to suppress free speech in violation of the First Amendment. Yes. All right. Complaint seeks a permanent injunction declaring the joint program unconstitutional. barring the government and NewsGuard from continuing such practices, and more than $13 million in damages for defamation and civil rights violations. And personally, I would be suing for a lot more than $13 million. I think they let him off easy, personally. And I hope they win.
Sure.
Now, on top of it, the guy who is the reason why we even know about this in the first place is Matt Taibbi, and by extension, the controlled opposition and limited hangout that was the Twitter files allowed by Elon Musk and the Twitter lawyers. And look, that was done as a revenge plot against the Democrats. And this is what the result of it is. All right? Is that now it's being let out that the Democrats and the Pentagon are conspiring with private entities. You know, there's another word for that to describe that, if I remember correctly. Reef, can you tell me what that word is?
No. Can you, sir?
Well, a private corporation working in concert with the federal government.
Yeah.
To suppress speech. Yeah. And
There is a word. There is a word like that.
Yeah.
I wonder what that word is.
It's
friends with schmashism.
It starts with an F.
Yeah. So.
Yes. Yes, Kathy Vogan. Yes, we did crash, and we are continuing because Rumble picks up the stream and continues even though we have a crash. YouTube, we created a new stream. So if you're on Rumble, by all means, thank you so much for being on Rumble. If you want to go back to YouTube, there is a live stream on both channels, but it is not the original stream that we tweeted out. Yes, it is fascism, flashism, flashy, fascism. So the NewsGuard case, again, highlights the Pentagon's censorship and end around. So what they're doing is they're censorship by proxy. And that's exactly what Matt Taibbi of Racket News. And hey, you know, tonight is the Indie Media Awards, as you can see from our little get up here. And I'm going to let a little secret out of the bag, but Matt Taibbi, 2023 Racket News, also 2023 Indie Media Award honorees. So that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight. Why they're here tonight is because they're also on being celebrated tonight, on top of reading a couple of Matt's articles. So, NewsGuard case that highlights what the Pentagon's trying to do. That's right. We're going to cause a racket. So what's happening as of Monday? The independent website Consortium News We Know filed suit. On September 7th, 2021, the DOD gave an award of almost $750,000 to NewsGuard Technologies, which is a private service that scores media outlets on reliability and trust. According to the lawsuit,
of course.
Right, roughly 40,000 subscribers buy NewsGuard subscriptions, getting in return a system of nutrition labels supposedly emphasizing safe content. I'll bet you none of INN's content is labeled as safe content by NewsGuard.
No. They've labeled it all.
Importantly, NewsGuard customers include universities and libraries whose users are presented with labels warning you that CBS is great and Tucker Carlson is dangerous.
Labels are bad.
I've heard that somewhere before. Right? Consortium News was labeled a purveyor of disinformation or misinformation, right?
Malinformation. Even.
Malinformation, false content, and worst of all, anti-US. And that's where it gets really problematic, is the anti-US, right? This is despite the fact that, according to the suit, NewsGuard only flagged 6 articles out of the 10, like we said, out of the tens of thousands. 20,000 plus Consortium News is published since Robert Perry, may he rest in peace, founded it in 1995. It was like the first news website, like on the internet, or one of them,
right?
That was, independent. That wasn't like owned by AOL or a major corporation, right? But again, the irony is, as Matt's saying, that Robert Parry, who was a decorated AP and Newsweek reporter, right? That he founded Consortium News specifically to address topics suppressed by mainstream editors. Yes. So now Parry's old site's being downgraded for dissenting reports on subjects like the 2014 Ukrainian Maidan coup and neo-Nazism in Ukraine. Coincidentally, topics that are the subject of NewsGuard's misinformation fingerprints project. That's under contract with Cyber Command, as the suit reads. So you can draw a direct line here. So misinformation.
Why do they always name these fucking things?
Dude,
like
it's so
the
bad.
worst shit. Like
right?
like Operation Evil Plan. You might as well call it that.
NewsGuard actually named this one misinformation fingerprints, yes, but probably under the direction of Cyber Command, who I'm guessing suggested the name. Now, they deny that they're influenced by the government and that, in fact, their denials are part of the reason for the lawsuit. When Michael Schellenberger from Public and Matt testified before Congress in March, they mentioned that NewsGuard as a government-funded rating service. Right? He was quickly contacted by email by co-CEO Gordon Kravitz, who hastened to correct me and say, NewsGuard is a government. A Kravitz, yes. Well,
sorry.
No, that's okay. So he hastened to correct that NewsGuard wasn't government funded, but merely an organization that receives government funds.
Oh yeah, we only take their money. We don't. What?
Yes, we were. So here's what he wrote. Right, as is Public, our work for Pentagon Cyber Command is focused on the identification and analysis of information operations targeting the U.S. and its allies conducted by hostile governments, including Russia and China. Come on.
China.
All right.
Yeah, it takes a second to load. I think it's this one.
They say our analysts alert officials in the U.S. and in other democracies, including Ukraine, of course, about new false narratives targeting America and its allies, and we provide an understanding of how this disinformation spreads online. We're proud of our work.
You are fake news.
Yeah, we're proud of our work countering Russian and Chinese disinformation with our own on behalf of Western democracies. So, but wait a minute. Anything that is questioning U.S. policy would then technically be serving to, in the U.S.'s mind, benefit China and Russia if they perceive them to be enemies, correct? So basically, anybody that questions anything having to do with U.S. policy then would fit in that bucket.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so
welcome to McCarthyism.
Yes, Kravitz added that contrary to claims made in the hearings, we oppose any government involvement in rating news sources, and NewsGuard is entirely independent and free of any outside influence, including from the U.S. or any government.
But they somehow accept government money and wait a
minute. They actually have an explanation for this. Because here's what.
But wait, there's more.
Because see, it helps when Indy reads the articles first. So Matt actually did email this guy back and clapped right back and said, "Wait a minute, the letter, who was CC'd to co-CEO and editor Stephen Brill, was subject linked inaccuracies relating to NewsGuard." I immediately wrote back, "You're not funded by the U.S. government except for a $750,000 Pentagon award?"
Except for that.
Right, except for that. But he didn't answer at the time, but NewsGuard did simultaneously release the letter to the UK-based Press Gazette. Weird that they would release it to a UK paper, of all things. But when I reached out for comment again, after the filing of litigation this week, asking once again how government-funded could be inaccurate, he finally answered, writing, "We're government-funded in the same way that Verizon is government-funded. because we've licensed data to the government for a fee, just as Verizon has provided telco services for a fee. So they don't do any interpretation or recommendation or manipulation of that data whatsoever.
No.
They're just providing it for a fee to the tune of $750,000, right? And he added, the government pays us both for our commercial offerings. Our Pentagon contract is a single-digit % of our revenues. Yes, however, and here he says it, so they're government funded, just not wholly government funded. These are the people rating others on accuracy. Remember.
Yeah. Fucking hilarious.
And this is why Matt is a 2023 honoree. Not only for that, but for founding Racket News on top of it. We'll get to that later. The conceit about funding isn't complicated, but it works. Because NewsGuard has other customers, it can claim to be an independent news service that just happens to be downgrading news reports that contradict and or criticize the policy of its major client, the Department of Defense. Go figure. It's censorship.
Right.
It's censorship, but through a silencer. And as the Consortium News lawsuit reads, right?
Yeah.
As the suit reads, that again, they're in violation of the First Amendment, carrying out a governmental program under the Misinformation Fingerprints contract to publicly label, target, and stigmatize news organizations as disfavored, unreliable, as journalistically not responsible, where said organizations differ or dissent from U.S. policy. The suit also, this is really important stuff, guys, because this is actually holding our government accountable. This is holding the military accountable for the infiltration of the media that they've been implementing. And NewsGuard is one of the big ways that they do it. Because if everybody subscribes to NewsGuard, if libraries are subscribing to NewsGuard across the country, what better way to affect the policy of every library across the country than to go right to NewsGuard? All right. The suit also details what I think is the more insidious part of the system. In the guise of an independent news service, NewsGuard contacts outlets and interrogates them about their disputed content, not so subtly pressing for retractions. Again, from the suit, that in the course of the government contract, NewsGuard in the United States have acted to retaliate against those news entities and media organizations that refuse to retract or correct their articles. Such retaliation consists of the false content warnings, the red flag, and associated content described in this amended complaint. So Max Blumenthal called this out last summer also. I don't have the tweet here, but he wrote a spectacular letter back to NewsGuard. And if you find that from Max, read it. By all means, it's worth the read. So Brackett also received one of these irritating queries this year. Call it what you want, but it comes down to Pentagon Cyber Command giving a big check to analysts who happen to slap red revenue-sapping warning tags on outlets that report on controversial topics like war or government censorship. Thanks for that. As I wrote to NewsGuard when they contacted me, quote, media outlets should gain and lose trust based on how they're evaluated by audiences, not paid services, unquote. This system allows institutions like the Department of Defense that have no legal remit to meddle in the domestic news landscape to pressure private media outlets. And they're doing it, clearly. That's over and above the DoD's already hugest on earth by far public relations budget. Oh, yeah. Think of the scale of petty determination one must have to spend over, and I'm going to say this again, $500 million a year on messaging. The military spends $500 million a year on messaging and advertising, and be so dissatisfied with the results that you feel the need to spend more on private services that downgrade independent news critics. It's particularly grating that your tax dollars are spent hiring private services that label news outlets using terms like anti-U.S. State-sponsored impugning of patriotism is a bold stroke, even by the low moral standards of the anti-disinformation era. This is Dr. Evil level shit.
Yep.
And the Pentagon doesn't care, and the CIA doesn't care. Now, when media groups are condemned by the government as anti-U.S., says Bruce, the result of self-censorship and a destruction of the public debate intended by the First Amendment. And Matt says that he was remiss in not getting this story up before, but he'll have more as the case goes on. Now, I'm kicking Consortium, again, is seeking a permanent injunction barring the government and NewsGuard from continuing such practices. I don't know how you do that other than ending the contract, but do you break up NewsGuard? Do you require that NewsGuard no longer be involved or be sold to any? I mean, I don't know how you enforce something like that, but more importantly, $13 million in damage.
And the best part of this plan is no one can stop me.
No, seriously, I don't know how to stop that other than to shut down NewsGuard. But Dr. Evil kind of put in his evil plan there. Big solidarity with Consortium News. Thank you for doing it. If you guys have a couple of bucks to throw to Consortium News, please go over there and support them in their lawsuit. They're going to need money to take on the federal government and to sue NewsGuard, which is well funded with 40,000 clients, including the Department of Defense alone at $750,000. That's probably larger than most of Consortium's budget for the entire year would be my guess.
The money is there.
Oh, God. I don't want to hear about her. Here's somebody who responded in the comments that his friend directly lost his job because of this. He writes for an independent, heterodox online publication and was laid off yesterday. His boss said they were downgraded by NewsGuard after they published COVID lab leak theory articles, and they lost revenue and grants directly due to this downgrade.
That sucks.
Well, he did write for the outlet, because he lost his job. And this is the consequence that ends up happening from Julian Assange. Yes, this all ties back to Julian Assange, free Julian Assange, by almighty, free Julian Assange. Share the stream out, please, everybody. We got screwed. You know, we had a big crash, and on Rumble it's the same stream that it was, but on Rockfin, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch. I think we're the same on Twitch, but everywhere else that we're live, we are we're on a different link than we had before, and then the one that was shared. So please share that out and help us out there. Appreciate it. All right, I got now, as a postscript to the Consortium story, it got the attention of somebody pretty famous, Elmo, who responded,
of course,
who quote tweeted the Consortium tweet where they were announcing the NewsGuard thing with one word: interesting. And that tweet alone had 34 million views and was liked by 70,000 people. Now, including me, which is funny, but of course I've got Elmo blocked, which is probably why they took away the like. All right. But you could see Misty saying Consortium News is an amazing outlet. They regularly cover the Assange case, which we're still waiting for you to form an opinion on, Elmo. I love how she never gives up. And I actually just responded with this, which is their page dedicated from the Indie Media Awards Substack page, saying that they're among the best of the best in independent journalism. Thank you. That is our wonderful, and I'm not going to say it again because I don't want to play the sound again. But they're amazing. And Kathy Vogan, Joe Lauria, Elizabeth Voss, they regularly publish John Pilger. They've got Patrick Lawrence, who publishes exclusive pieces there. They publish Kiriakou. They publish Caitlin Johnstone. They publish a lot of outstanding, high-quality journalists. And again, 6 articles that are even in question.
The best journalists. We have the best journalists. They're tremendous journalists.
6
See, the
articles.
people tell me they say we got really good journalists. Sorry. Anyway,
6
continue.
articles in almost 30 years that are in question, and it puts a flag on every single article. It's straight up censorship. It's a way of de-boosting or de-amplifying the value of the stories and the articles that are published in Consortium, which are of the highest quality and accurate. And the ones that, by the way, were also the ones that were talking about Ukrainian Nazis and the Maidan coup, which has all proven out to be correct.
Yeah.
So NewsGuard, of course, Bellingcat gets a very high rating when it comes to NewsGuard, as does The Intercept.
Bellingcat.
Yeah. How about that? Isn't that
maybe that's because they
interesting?
They don't go too hard against the maybe you should look at the anyway.
Occasionally they do, but only when they're allowed. Thank you so much to Roar Media over on the Rockfin for the $5 tip. We are over on rockfin.com/IND left news, as well as rockfin.com/INN. Fight the YouTube algorithm. We got hit on YouTube for saying something that they did not like in a stream title or in a clip title last Friday. And they took away, not only did they take away our ability to upload and stream for a week, but they took away our ability to monetize and to get super chats for the time being, for the next at least 90 days. So therefore, we're going to ask you all to go to a different place to support INN. There's several different ways to do it. We've got patreon.com/Indie News Network. You've got Cash App. Now, Cash App is actually the best way to get us cash right now without any fees to you or us. That goes right into the bank account. Patreon, they take a very small fee. Substack, they take about 10% every month. Substack, indienewsnetwork.substack.com is monetized and is available to be viewed. You can donate there monthly or annually. Rockfin.com/INN, you can donate one time on the stream, or you can subscribe monthly. It's $14.99, and that gives you all the premium site videos for every single creator on Rockfin.com, which is a lot.
And if you call now, we'll send you the guaranteed commemorative pin. No.
Well, and then finally, we've got Rumble. Hey, how about that, folks? But we've got Rumble too. So rumble.com/C/Indie News Network or C/IND Left News. You can give a donation, one-time Rumble rant there, or you can subscribe to the monthly there. There's other places too, but those are the best places to support independent journalism and to support what we're doing to amplify independent journalism and to actually read articles from independent journalists so that people get the real story from the people that are doing the work. And sometimes we write our own stuff too. So I have one more article, and it's also by Matt Taibbi before we get to the awards. And I love this one. And I hate this one at the same time. But I love the title. Matt doesn't mince words. Amy Klobuchar, you suck. Why?
Klobuchar.
Well, people might have missed this week. Now, look, there's a lot of horrific shit going on. And our news feeds are terrible, terrible places right now. All of us, I think.
Yep.
And because of it, this story likely, this show is called How Do We Miss That? And the reason why is because of stuff like this. This is a really important story also. And this is more censorship, more nanny state, more Democratic Party-led censorship. It's not coming from Republicans. Republicans have never tried this. Republicans actually love this stuff. They love the ability to say what they want, when they want, where they want, and how. It's Democrats that
depends on the topic. But, yeah.
No, they're not trying. No, even now. Like, I don't see any Republicans.
DeSantis is literally removing books.
Well, that's true.
I mean,
You're right.
I'm just saying.
Even on Israel right now.
Both parties suck, Johnson.
Yes, both parties do suck. Anyway, yes, more stapler throwing. That's correct, Desert Mantis. So, Amy Klobuchar, what happened here? The Minnesota senator is asking Amazon to censor Substack and Rumble. This is our safe haven. This is our backups. These are the free speech platforms. And he's asking how much more of this can we take? And therefore, again, Indie Left News, Indie News Network, and of course the Indie Media Awards are dedicated to free speech, to seeing Julian Assange freed, who dedicated his life to exposing the truth and exposing corruption. And these guys are trying to shut down any platform where you could possibly expose truth and corruption. So I thought it was extra fitting that we covered this today. And it is by 2023 honoree, Matt Taibbi from 2023 honoree Racket News. So you can hit it with a double. We'll do that every time now. So, Minnesota Senator and Hindenburg presidential candidacy, Amy Klobuchar, sent a letter at tip to Reclaim the Net to Jeff Bezos demanding that he enjoin Alexa from citing unvetted sources, specifically Substack and Rumble. No hell is hot enough for this person. Referring to a Washington Post story complaining that Alexa cited Substack, she wrote, quote, "When asked about the 2020 presidential election, it appears that some of the answers were provided by contributors instead of verified news sources." Oh my God, Amy. Amy Klobuchar is the absolute fave of the national media consensus. They love her so much they speak in italics. Oh my God, she's great.
She's so funny. She's such the best. Have you seen
too.
her hair?
Yeah.
Her hair is so nice.
A cameraman
He's nice.
gushed to me in Winterset, Iowa, birthplace of John Wayne 4 years ago. He was standing astride an Amy, Amy, Amy banner in a diner packed with press admirers who were legion everywhere. The funny legend came courtesy mostly of one joke she repeated everywhere she went, over and over, clinging to the one time
Donald... I remember. I wonder how your hair fares in a blizzard.
Literally, there it is. There it is. Yep. Tweeting about her looking like a snow woman, and that was what she said. There you go.
The president actually sent out a tweet. He made fun of me for talking about climate change in the middle of a blizzard, and he called me Snow Woman.
Oh, she couldn't be
So I wrote back, "Hey, Donald Trump, the science is on my side, and I'd like to see how your hair would fare in a blizzard."
That's the worst part.
So I wrote back on me.
Because we don't need to listen to this
it's awful.
90 times.
It's just awful.
It literally,
it's
same
so cringe.
delivery every time. Like, she
so
doesn't
cringe.
get the response. This is like a comedian doing a joke over and over again, thinking he's going to get something different. But it's the part where the science is on my side. The science is on my side. Like, get rid of that. Too much. Just hit him with the punch. Go directly. How does your hair fare in a blizzard? Like, just go to that.
Just awful.
Like,
right?
You're dealing with a fucking idiot. Clap back quickly. Don't try to, like, the science is on my side, and it's right next to my pocket protector, and fucking shut up.
Yes, you're gonna trust the science on my side. Anyway, so now national press tried endlessly to sell the public on funny Amy, and always was emphasizing her geographic origin as if she were the media's running mate. The New York Times did an interview over dumplings in which Klobuchar talked about how she thinks about her own humor and power. Oh, God, she's so nauseating. Described her act as a clean, aw shucks approach that conveys her own background as a Midwesterner. She's just a wholesome Midwestern girl.
She's going to give you her hot dish recipe, and it's going to be nice. It's going to be very good. You know?
Right. So the paper
get
noted
that hot dish out, the tater tots. Tater tots.
Cloud Boot Jar could remember many times when people laughed at her jokes. And I love how she laughs easily and can recall dozens of her successful zingers. I literally started using the word zinger this week just to make fun of people. It's such a cringe word. Zingers.
You got a zinger.
Ooh, she's got zingers against Donald Trump. Woo. Oh, she's spicy. She's
got chutzpah.
Right? NPR did a segment on how Amy turns to humor to distinguish herself among candidates. Oh my God. With Mary Louise Kelly abasing herself with the intro, quote, in the 24-person Democratic presidential field, Senator Amy, I can't even say this with a straight face, Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota has distinguished herself as a comedian. Oh my God.
What's the deal with Democratic Party progressives? Huh? Anybody?
U.S. News and World Report went with how Amy Klobuchar's humor sets her apart. Like it was literally just a blanket freaking propaganda campaign. She's funny, everybody.
I just flew in from Minnesota, and it's tired.
It's like the current thing. They're currently on Israel. They were on Ukraine before, but here it was all Amy Klobuchar is funny. Yes. All right. Barack Obama gushed that Al Franken was now Minnesota's second funniest senator. Oh, go figure. It came from Obama. That her ability to, again, savagely deploy a zinger, there's that word again, would be a critical element in taking on Donald Trump. Yeah. Right? Amy is hilarious. And this is real. This is real. She can legislate, but can she tell a joke? The answer is a resounding yes, as in bring down the house. My stomach hurts from laughing. Yes. No.
I'm laughing at you saying you were okay.
My neck hurts from cringe. My neck is permanently stuck in muscular frozen position from cringing so fucking hard. Yes, they went with hilarious for starters. It wasn't just that campaign journalism requires every angle to be done to death, killed over and over like Jason Voorhees. Halloween, Friday the 13th reference. But that the press really thought Amy was the best choice. A truth that emerged in the New York Times all-time cop-out co-endorsement of her and Elizabeth Warren. That's not nice.
I see what you did there. That's like Klobuchar humor. Look at you using humor. Look at you.
Well, aren't I just the funniest guy ever?
You're just so funny.
Right. Saying, may the best woman win. The paper wrote that Klobuchar would be able to connect to voters' lived experiences, especially in the middle of the country, as the senator talks often with self-deprecating humor about growing up the daughter of two union workers, her Uncle Dick's deer stand. Her father struggles with alcoholism. Like,
got the deer stand. We put the ice house out down the lake, and we have a good time.
America buys this bullshit repeatedly. In case it's been forgotten, here's how voters, Democratic voters, responded to a candidacy with such enthusiastic backing of media establishment. Amy got 12.2% in Iowa and 19.7% in New Hampshire, where her third place finish, 5 points behind. 5 points behind winner Bernie Sanders, was hailed by the Times as a big surprise, a third place finish. Then came Nevada, where she had a volleyball style setup for victory in the form of a shameful last-minute dirty trick. What happened? Intel community leaks.
I really was hoping he was going to tell me that was a volleyball was thrown at her head, but alas, Wilson didn't step up to the plate there.
No, she was set up for another zinger in Nevada, all right, where she had that. All right, but of course, the Intel community leaks that were linked to the Times headline, Russia is said to be interfering to aid Sanders in Democratic primaries. Even with her lead...
That he went along with. that he fucking went, well, we're going to look into it. And there might be, you fucking cuck.
Dumbass
Anyway.
Russiagated himself. Even with her lead opponent official denounced as Putin's favorite, she got 7.3%, a distant fifth behind Mayo Pete and Sleepy Creepy Handsy Uncle Joe.
Sleepy Creepy Joe.
Sleepy Creepy
Creepy Joe.
Sleepy Creepy
That's a good
Handsy
name.
Uncle Joe. And of course, Bernie sold out douchebag cuck union busting or union strike breaking whatever dickhead. Nah, whatever. See what I tell you, Bernie went to the strike, or now Biden went, and now UAW said it. But UAW is another story. I want to talk about that another night, because we'll see what happens when we actually get a vote. But I love reading this part. Some primary numbers that followed for Amy: 3.1, 3.1, 2.2, 1.4, 1.2, 5.6 in her own home state. Mwah! 2.3, 2.2, 2.1. Do you see a pattern? 3.4. Oh, she had a bump to 3%. 1.3. And then it was really embarrassing. 0.6, 0.2, 0.7. You're getting to Blutarski style 0. Etc.
Yep.
At least Amy Klobuchar's retired her Twilight jokes, quipped New York. Despite a strong third-place finish in New Hampshire, lamented the New York Times when she dropped out, adding that Klobuchar ultimately could not compete with better-funded rivals. That and the promise of a big position in the future and support from Barack Obama, and the promise of him being a personal thorn in her side if she didn't drop out at that exact moment. But I digress.
Pokemon go to the polls.
No, not for her. The paper moved on to the burning question of what she would do with all 7 of her delegates. All 7. Don't spend them all in one place, sweetheart.
We're going to have a pizza party. It's going to be nice. They brought hot dish.
You couldn't even give a slice to each one. Actually, you could.
Yeah.
There's 8 slices of a pizza. It's a personal pizza. Now, this person, whose humor persona was surely cooked up in part to soften a rep for throwing things at AIDS, yes, Stapler Queen, who scored roughly John Blutarski's grade point average with the backing of the national media establishment, who managed less than 6% of Democratic voters in her own state, has the gall to push one of the world's biggest media distributors to disallow voluntary access to contributors instead of verified news sources. Klobuchar wants Jeff Bezos to make sure Amazon's home surveillance robots don't spit out even occasional answers from a wider pool of real human beings, including thousands of independent contributors, like us. The information landscape must be a pure monopoly of verified news sources. Might I also say, fuck you, Amy Klobuchar. This senator to billionaire communique isn't illegal because she didn't phrase it as an order or voice the implied threat of regulation, among other things. If Bezos ends up complying, however, I've half a mind to sue, and I hope he does. Like Consortium News, and that's one of the reasons why I brought this up. If Bezos ends up complying, right, so patience is wearing thin with the relentless determination of government figures, whether U.S. Cyber Command or a Minnesota senator, to weed out independent media from the digital landscape. And I'm going to say it for the first time tonight a lot: support independent media. Support independent media, and this is why. It's not enough for them to have 99% of the informational space. They need all of it. They want the whole thing.
Yeah, because any other thing, they'd like, fucking,
Well, look,
their narratives would be challenged.
The 1% of us that are out there, the Indie Media Award honorees, you're literally talking about 68 journalists, outlets, and video podcasters, live streamers, video editors, 68, couple of hundred people total. That's it in the whole world. And there's more, of course.
Yeah.
But those are the verified sources to me. About those verified sources. The list includes, of course, the Bezos-owned Washington Post, which gave Klobuchar the idea by producing the original news article complaining about Substack, a subscription newsletter service. They linked to another Post piece describing this site as a home to conspiracy theorists banned elsewhere. Kind of true, but also not true. They're not conspiracy theorists. They're actually just, they're spoiler alert, guys. Pointing a finger at Joseph Mercola and complaining about a contributor who claimed that Trump won Pennsylvania in 2020. Which he very well may have. I got a lot of questions myself over a lot of this nonsense. And, you know, now we're allowed to finally say that without losing our channel. But yes, there is the Convo Couch. By the way, do a lot of research on the Convo Couch and what they did in 2020. And there are a lot of questions about a lot of the vote. The Washington Post, of course, has serious boulders to whine about inaccuracy here. When, via the Twitter files, Matt himself exposed the Hamilton 68 scam they fell for over and over, the Post with reluctance
69,
issued...
you mean?
69, yes. Issued minor corrections to 8 reports. Why minor? Because reviewing editors concluded that the paper appropriately reported on emerging research, including Hamilton 68 at the time, meaning emerging research is code for we didn't know yet it was bullshit yet. The Post,
but we were going to make actions on the fact that it was like real.
And they're not going to go back and correct the record after the fact either. Because, well, at the time, we thought it was true. What? Yes, more NewsGuard, more nonsense. This is nanny state bullshit. This is how they're trying to shape and narrative manage our news and the information that all the normies around us that aren't plugged into this shit are dealing with regularly. The crap I'm fed from all the people around me, from what they're being served on corporate news, whether that is, now it's News Nation, and again, that I will talk about News Nation being the corporate media channel nobody asked for, featuring Megyn Kelly and Fredo fucking Corleone. Nobody asked for these assholes to show up, and all of a sudden they're here, and you have to deal with them. Another corporate media news entity that's bloviating and managing the narrative. These morons are the ones that people watch, because they've got corporations that spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year on behalf of advertisers and the people who they're trying to influence to push that narrative. The Post repeatedly claimed to be describing social media activity of online Russian bots who are mostly ordinary users in the U.S. and other Western countries. That's actual conspiracy theory that they wouldn't have to admit without Substack. And they have the cheek to seek a ban on us? Yeah, they do. And they'll do it too. These people are the worst. I would pay money to watch them all mauled by bears in a video game. Senator Klobuchar, Mr. Bezos, esteemed editors of the Washington Post, to hell with all of you. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see a big heart on there. 931 comments. Yeah, please check the online version. Apologies. Yeah, he was pretty angry, and then he said he's going to declare war on Amy, and it'll take whatever it takes for him to get her now and to expose her as being one of the major purveyors of the disinformation complex and the censorship information complex. He published an article, a follow-up to this, on Friday, a Twitter Files extra about how she went too far, even for pro-censorship media, and how, Twitter executives, all right, are cheering. We're cheering when one of the many censorship proposals was put out, but not others, and that's a paid thing. And I don't want to mess up Matt, but he's one of the best. So we had a bit of a glitch. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate everybody hanging out. This is a very special How Do We Miss That? And here we go. So the best of the best. Indie Media Awards. Woo! It is time for the 2023 to reveal the names and the honorees and the additions to the best of the best of the best of the best. So first off, there's a new home, another new home. We have 2 new homes for the Indie Media Awards this year. First off, we've got a link tree. And the link tree is very simply linktr.ee/Indie Media Awards. Very simple. As things change, as our websites change, as our presences change, as we add social media sites or whatever, we'll be able to update you here. And you can even subscribe to this page for updates. And you can see we've added in the 2022s as well as the top stuff. And we've got merch, which you can, by the way, get. There is stuff with the Indie Media Awards logo on it. You can buy merch right from there. On top of that, close that. You've got the Indie Media Awards website. Now it's on Substack. So we've moved it to Substack. And we now have, here is the 2023 complete honorees list. And we've got 31 names in total. It is live. Yep. Feel free to share the stream. Feel free also to share this list out. This is live and published on indiemediaawards.substack.com. Here is your complete list. I'm putting it in the chat for everyone to take a look at and on all the different platforms. There you go. There you go. Go later because we're going to go through a bunch of it now. And we're going to talk about a lot of these people and why we chose them and why they're awesome. So what you'll first notice is that this complete list, which is at the homepage in the top right corner, right now, we'll be pinning it later. It's got a link to each one of their individual pages. So we created an individual page for each one of these honorees that has a larger image, their photo, their website, a link to find them, and all of their links that we could find. So there's John Pilger, who is a legend, and I don't even really that guy doesn't even need an introduction. I think just about everybody knows who he is. He's published in Consortium. He's published just about everywhere. He's been decorated with awards. And if I remember correctly, Consortium News just gave him their award. If I go to his Twitter, if I remember correctly, right here. Yep. He just received the Gary Webb Freedom of the Press Award in addition to receiving the Indie Media Award. And we definitely, again, Consortium also award honoree. So the best of the best of the best of the best, folks. Next, we've got Ford Fisher. Ford Fisher, friend of the show, friend of the network, friend of Misty.
Yeah, that guy does good work.
Ford is out there, all right? He started an outlet years ago called News to Share. News to Share also is an honoree, and their outlet we're including because the other people who work for News to Share will also certainly are included and should be honored as well. But Ford goes out there and he shoots protests and he shoots press conferences as a photojournalist, not literally shooting, but a videographer. And
I mean, he was with some friends doing some shooting not that long ago. On his Twitter, I saw.
Right, but he's filmed every Assange protest that I can think of in DC, for example, and he goes all over the country.
Yep.
And we're big fans of Ford Fisher. He also was on Misty's TNT radio show back in June. You can certainly listen to that as well. You go to mistywinston.substack.com and you can find Ford Fisher's episode there. Next, we have one writer who we featured a lot this year on How Do We Miss That? And that's CJ Hopkins. Big fan. He's also on Substack Notes. It's not Anthony, it's CJ Hopkins. CJ is currently under prosecution by the German government for publishing a book that had a cover on it that had a surgical mask, and on it very faintly you could see a swastika talking about the authoritarianism that is coming with COVID. You can follow him. By the way, if you are on any of these pages, if you see a name that's tagged like that, you can mouse over it and go to CJ's page right there. You can support and subscribe to any of their Substacks. Please do. You can also subscribe via email. I embed, if they are on Substack and they're publishing, I try to embed that as well. Please support all these incredible creators, really, all these writers. And we're just going through the journalists now. There's 4 categories this year. We've got journalists, we've got live streamers and podcasters, we've got media outlets, and there's only a few. We've already talked about 2 of them, which is Racket News and News to Share. And then we've got independent media video creators, and we're going to talk about them at the end because that's really special in a new category that we brought in for this year. So CJ Hopkins is great. He's written some outstanding articles exposing Michael Schellenberger a little bit and his authoritarian nature with regard to the censorship industrial complex and the Westminster Declaration, which is a good declaration. I encourage everybody to support and sign it. And it's a stand against the censorship industrial complex. Our next honoree is Common Dreams, Julia Conley. Julia, we need some Julia sounds, but
I'm getting it.
Julia is one of my favorites.
Julia.
Hi. Yes, the ceiling fan. We're gonna go full throttle.
Sweet Joe.
Yes, I know. We're gonna save that for later too. But Julia Conley, we've read a lot of her articles on How Do We Miss That. She's one of the better staff writers at Common Dreams. Last year we honored Brett Wilkins, and I was also looking at Kenny Stansel, but Kenny actually left Common Dreams in August. So thank you for all the work that you did, Kenny. Appreciate and wish you the best of luck at the institute that you're at now. So he's looking at the impact of the revolving door of lobbyists to Congress people and staffers on Capitol Hill. Big fan of Kenny Stansel. So support Julie. Again, all of these people's links are going to be included on their individual Substack page on their Indie Media Awards honoree page.
And they're in the link tree, which is everything's in the description below. Please go click. We want to see those numbers on that website go up.
That would be nice. All right. The legend himself.
Folks when they ask why, what news do you watch?
Right.
Show them this.
Yeah. Who should I be watching? Who's telling me the truth? Guys like this. All right. Matt Taibbi, Racket News, founder, Racket News. Again, you can subscribe to Racket News right through here. You can also find Matt on Substack here. He's on Substack Notes, publishing occasionally, at least putting links to his stuff. Find him on Instagram, find him on Twitter. He really just puts links to his stuff when it's not suppressed by Elon. But it looks like Elon's even suppressing links from Racket News again. What a mess that's been. All right. On top of Matt Taibbi, in addition to Matt Taibbi, we have got the wonderful, lovely, beautiful, and fierce, ferocious, relentless Stefania Marizzi. Also friend of the show, friend of the network, friend of Misty.
Any more adjectives you could throw in?
I have a few more. But Stefania has been relentless in her FOIA request to expose what MI5 has known and what Downing Street was discussing with regard to the Julian Assange case.
Incredible work with the Assange case. Yeah. Marizzi.
All right, Stefania Marizzi. She's with .it. That's her website, but she also publishes for Il Fatonico. I'm gonna butcher it. Look her up on Twitter.
It's Italian. Just you channel your New Jersey. Channel it.
Here's another guy who certainly is incredibly deserving, especially this month, of a top journalist award, and that's Dan Cohen, who's on Captured Media, but he's also a correspondent for Redacted. He's worked in the past with Mint Press and with Behind the Headlines. He worked for Abby Martin and for the Empire Files as a videographer and was in Gaza shooting the footage, I believe, for Gaza Fights for Freedom or with her. He was definitely filming Abby Martin at one point. He was showing some footage earlier today on Twitter. If you're not following Dan at Dan Cohen 3000 on Twitter, please do. He is an anti-Zionist, anti-imperialist Jewish journalist who has spent time in Israel. He speaks from experience. He speaks from a perspective that I share tremendously. And, you know, these journalists put themselves at tremendous risk. They also put their careers at risk. You know, they not just physically, but no outlet will touch these guys afterwards because of what they cover and how they report on, you know, on corruption and on what's happening with the military and on the operations overseas that are inconvenient to the powers that be.
Operation Evil Plan.
Mouse over it. You can see Dan. You can click on Uncaptured Media to go there. You can also click on this icon there to go there, or you can just subscribe via email right there. But again, please support independent media. It's so important. We need it more than ever. Another Assange journalist and an independent journalist. Now, Tariq Haddad was a mainstream journalist who got fed up with the nonsense and saw what they were doing to Julian Assange and went independent and started reporting on corruption. And we honored Tariq, who wrote a really important piece earlier this year about UC Global David Morales case, and with relation to Julian Assange, and he had footage of how they broke in. Give Tariq a follow, support his work. He's on Substack, but he's not actively publishing. But when he does publish, man, you want to talk about zingers, forget Amy Klobuchar. This guy's got zingers. All right? Big fan. Tariq Haddad, support Tariq. Then we've got Dave DeCamp. Also, amazing. Anti-war. Now, last year, antiwar.com, and that's interesting. I need to replace the image here, but Anti-War News with Dave DeCamp is a show that launched last year in a separate channel in addition to the antiwar.com channel, where Dave 5 nights a week goes through the headlines for about a half an hour. And
Dave, if you're watching, which I'm betting you are, bro, I know we're independent. I get it. Your website, you got to call somebody. Like, it looks like someone made it in like 1999.
That's Connor Freeman and that's Scott Horton. We can talk to those guys too. But
tell somebody.
Anti-war does have
hire
a very
someone on
90s,
Fiverr, something.
Does have a very 90s text feel to it.
I use it every week, Dave. I literally, I go, I look, your articles, excellent and short. By the way, short articles, you could read them. Like, they're like 4 paragraphs.
Yep.
They're great. Go read. But like, your website could use a little more zhuzhing, is all I'm saying. You know,
there's a lot to it, and in order to zhuzh it and move it to something else, it's going to need a lot of work.
Gonna need somebody, and go support them. I'm sure they need money to do that.
Now, again, Anti-War News with Dave DeCamp. They're on Apple Podcasts. They're on Rumble, Odyssey, YouTube, Telegram, Instagram. They're everywhere. So follow Anti-War, follow Anti-War News, support this anti-war effort.
My co-host Colin in the chat reads his articles a lot on INA News. Yeah, I usually pull a couple. He usually writes in a way that I can do that. So very good stuff. And it's got to razz you on your website.
A late addition, and that's at my own fault, but I added him at the last minute to the list because he's certainly deserving, is Sam Husseini, who has been in the White House and in the White House press correspondence room this year. But he's been doing outstanding work as an independent journalist. No, they do not. But he's been doing outstanding work as an independent for 25 years. He's on Substack, so subscribe to him. He's got a link tree. He's on Gab, believe it or not. He's one of the few Indie Media Award honorees on Gab. So I'm happy about this. Again, all these pages, by the way, are public and live at our Indie Media Awards Substack site. All right. Now we get into the outstanding independent live streamers, and a lot of these again are friends of Indie Left, friends of INN, friends of Misty. You see them and hear them a lot on Misty's show, and you'll see them a lot in our Substack in the articles that we share. When I used to have a website
Link in the description.
When I used to have a website that aggregated all the independent media into one site, all these people were regularly featured. And we've got, just to go down the list real quickly, we've got Gordon Dimmack and Shanda Masta from Beauty and the Boomer, as well as Oz the Boomer LaFave. And we're going to show each one of their pages.
Gordon,
Radical.
We've had Gordon on INN. Does great stuff. I think me and you did that interview.
We sure did. I was so excited. That. I was so excited to talk to Gordon. I adore that man. He's terrific. Primo Radical, who does some of the best interviews in our space and asks some of the best questions. JB,
Shanda and Oz, if you're not subbed to them already, they do great stuff, like legitimately.
Like that's a great show.
Please go watch them.
Saturday Night Beauty.
They put a lot of work in.
But Shanda also does Trailer Park Pundit, and this is why I want to go to their pages so that you can see who they are, what shows they do. You've got links to subscribe to them on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Rockfin, everywhere that you could possibly find them, as well as to connect with them on Substack. So that's Shanda, and we've got Gordon Dimmack, who also has a Substack of his own that he publishes to, but he's on Rumble and he's on Rockfin. He's on TikTok. Gordon does a ton of stuff on TikTok, if you didn't know. Of course, he's on Telegram and Twitter. He's on Instagram occasionally, but he does publish here to Substack as well. So you can follow Gordon here. Then we've got our friend Oz the Boomer, who's friend of the show, friend of the network. We support each other, good buddy of ours, but he also is an outstanding live streamer. He is, by the way, most people don't know that he was a producer for the Convo Couch for a long time and put up and
occasionally
and designs thumbnails occasionally still for the Convo Couch and does all kinds of behind the scenes work to help independent small creators, on top of the fact that whenever there is an action that's being cast anywhere, he'll be happy to grab it and simulcast it everywhere and share. And we appreciate so much and honor Oz and go support him. He also, by the way, has his own Substack where he's been putting up articles using some AI as well as some of the face rendering that he's been doing. And he does some incredible stuff using DaVinci Resolve. And we get to hang out with Oz quite a bit, so we get some visibility into that. But definitely go support Beauty and the Boomer, support Oz and Shanda. Primo Radical hasn't been around as much this year. You know why? Because he's got a new baby. Congratulations to Primo on your new baby.
The new baby.
Friend of the show, friend of the network, friend of Misty, friend of everyone. Asked some of the best questions and done some of the best interviews with Jimmy Dore, with Noam Chomsky, with Misty, with Fiorella. His most recent one, I think, was, believe it or not, with Jackson Hinkle, which, like him or not, he's right now the talk of the month.
Very popular right now.
Quite popular in a lot of circles. And this is where you can go subscribe, support, and follow Primo. Patreon is primarily the way that you can support him financially to subscribe. Even with a couple of bucks a month, I know it makes a big difference. Next, JB. Now, I love JB. JB's a good friend. And we've seen JB basically grow from nothing, from nothing as a live streamer, evolve as being a guy on RBN, or at that time, Fred Hampton Leftist, and then start his own channel and build up and have incredible guests and do great interviews and talk about mutual aid and share the perspective of somebody who is going through it on dialysis and he's raising money for to give away stuff to homeless people, and he's been through hurricanes. I mean, JB's been on INN News a couple times, right?
Yep, a few times.
Yep. I was just recently on
two that I can remember right offhand.
I was just recently on last month on his channel for the first time. I was honored to go, and we got to talk about Booby Kennedy and talk about Lahaina a little bit. But yeah, JB last year was part of RBN, of course, and he was honored as a live streamer, top live streamer last year. But we also wanted to call out his channel and the show that he does on his own channel, which is on Sundays and I believe Tuesdays as well. But the JB Font channel, and he's also on Substack, and he recently wrote an article that was covered by Reef and Colin on INN News. So yes, we all love JB to pieces, and we certainly want to honor him and let everybody go and follow, subscribe, and support our brother JB.
Yep.
Next we have
does a lot of book reviews and stuff. He'll do like live readings of books and stuff.
He does book readings, chapter readings, and everything. As Colin said several times, I know JB has been on. I don't know if that's going to show up. No, I don't know if Twitch plugged it. Randy Credico. What did Randy Credico do this year? Well, the last couple of years, well, he sponsored this truck to be driven around DC and around all over. But he just recently, earlier this month, after 14 months, the DC Free Assange mobile billboard project has come to an end. I'm holding the tooth and the tank is empty. And thank you for your service, Randy Credico. He also does the Assange Countdown to Freedom podcast, as well as the Live on the Fly radio show for WBAI. Randy is a lifer and a legend. Yes, also a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm.
Great stuff, Randy, by the way. I watched a lot of your bits. They're excellent.
He was a guest with Tara Reid earlier this year on INN on the Politics of Survival.
Yep.
He also might be running for Congress as a Democrat or maybe even as an independent
against AOC.
In AOC's district, New York 14, because he lives there. And he cares.
Said specifically Dim and then independent, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Correct. So, again, thank you for your service. Please, again, go support Randy. There's all the links to his website, Twitter, YouTube, everything. He even said Kelly Lane, who works with him, also helped him set up a Rumble channel to back up YouTube, because all of us need to be on alternate platforms. And like I keep begging everyone, support independent media. Please, please, by all means, support independent media. The next one is a podcast that most people probably haven't heard of. And this was suggested by INN member Jett and Cynic. Jett, super fan and friend of the network. But Political has been a small podcast that's been out there for years, dedicated to music and politics and protest music. And they've had people like David Rovix on, and they featured Jesse and his music quite a bit. And I think Jesse actually even featured one of Political's reviews of his song. It's a bold and powerful hammer, is, I believe, the description that they used. But Political is on Bandcamp. They're on Moving Train Radio's Twitch. So when they do stream live, they go on Moving Train Radio. That's their host. And they also have a Apple podcast. So subscribe and support this incredible independent podcaster that supports independent protest music like Jesse Jett. Desert Mantis is saying he has a great podcast. And I think, again, Jesse would agree with you. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about Political today. So go subscribe and support Political. Then we have an old dog, and he'll hate that I'll call him an old dog because he's way younger than me and in great shape. But an old dog and a legend when it comes to independent media, at least in our minds. And that's Nico House. Nico, who was on INN News earlier this year, he's been on with Tara Reid, also friend of. Look,
bro, he's been in Brazil too. You better be careful calling him old anything.
Well,
he's been hanging around jujitsus and doing his, capoeira on the side.
Right. Well, INN. Thank you. So INN is a network that was modeled after the model that Nico had pretty much started at MCSC Network.
Sukasa.
4 years ago, I'd never heard of anything called MCSC. And whenever Pasta said the word fam, I used to cringe. I'll never forget. And now look, and look at it now.
Yeah, now I can't not say it.
Now we cannot say it. They're all Indie Media Award honorees, and we have a network modeled after exactly how they built their fam. In a lot of ways, is that each one of us has our own channel. We're independent, but we all come together kind of like a super group to make this incredible network, to amplify each other, to share each other's stuff. And that was the entire point and concept behind MCSC in the first place. And I think a lot of the MCSC people already are here. You've got all of Nico's links, but not only did Nico found MCSC, he then kind of turned around and he had a rough patch, and he lost both his grandparents, and we kind of became a little friendly, and he had a tough year, and he moved to Brazil, and he started this organization called Hotspot, and it's blowing up. I noticed it's got over 100,000 followers on TikTok already, if you hadn't known.
Yep.
But
him
he's
and
also
Socialist MMA over there doing stuff with that too.
He brought Nick over to start doing some videos as well, for sure. Yeah. And but yeah, that's Nico, and we definitely honored Nico for all the contributions that he's made to the news, to the independent space.
One of my favorite interviews is with Nico. So
now I got corrected last night when I reached out to James Corbett, who he's incredible. I mean, if anyone doesn't know James Corbett from the Corbett Report, you need to. He's everywhere. He's on every video platform you can imagine, podcast platform. He's got a Substack, and I would certainly encourage you to subscribe there. One of his most recent Substack articles embedded a video where he's talking about Solutions Watch, and he's talking about the travel ban that's upcoming, and how to prepare yourself for 15-minute cities, and how to kind of opt out of that whole system, and what you can do.
Build a bunker. Sorry, no.
On top of other things. So originally I called him a live streamer, and he emailed me back at 3 a.m. He said, "Wow, this is great. Thank you so much. I'm honored."
What is he like? Is he like good at peeing? Is that what it is?
Well, that was the Jimmy Dore joke, yes. but instead of technically he's more a podcaster.
I haven't stolen that guy's jokes before.
He uploads to BitChute, to Rumble, to Rockfin, to Odyssey. He does have a YouTube channel, but they keep getting taken down, if I remember correctly. There's an unofficial Twitter page. There's also a Telegram page. He's, again, all over, and he's also been on a big fan of Nostr and using the decentralized platforms. Nostr, N-O-S-T-R, which is very complicated, but a decentralized version of Twitter. And I'm not really sure exactly how that works, but I need to get more into that. I tried signing up for it. I really didn't understand how to use it. I just need to dedicate some more time to it.
I'm old man. I can't use technology.
Yes. Another incredible podcaster, live streamer who I discovered only after we got to Rockfin was Charlie Robinson. And he's also in the 2023 class of honorees of the Indie Media Awards. And he has a podcast called Macroaggressions. He also contributes to Union of the Unwanted. He wrote a book this year called The Octopus of Global Control. And I've got a link to his book right there.
There's always the macro, and then there's the micro.
Right.
I thought that was anti-Semitic, the octopus. Isn't that what Greta got upset about?
Sort of, but it's just another
a creature becomes a symbol of
description of the Kraken.
Yep.
It's really the censorship industrial complex. That's really he's describing, just like everything else, and how to prepare. He also has a TNT Live weekly radio show. That's an outlet, I probably should.
TNT, by the way.
I probably should have,
TNT is.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just saying, no, shout out to TNT. The only reason we don't is we're not necessarily sure of funding. But their actions definitely deserve them kudos here. I mean, they've had Tara Reid, they've had Misty, they've had anyone that Misty wants to bring on. a lot of Indie Media Award honorees.
Yep.
You know,
tons of them.
So they do fantastic work. You may not like all their shows on their network, but you know.
Yep. They also
they
go
let
hard on
people say what they want to say.
They go hard on the COVID narrative, which I also certainly appreciate.
Yeah.
Charlie G is drinking the Kraken now. That's great. So Charlie
Phil?
Robinson, awesome. No, not the Phil McCracken, but drinking the Kraken. And let's go to this other presenter mode here. This guy. I think on this one I can actually put up. Yeah, there we go. We can put those up. Nice. All right. So that is Charlie Robinson. So that concludes our 10 live streamers. Now, again, this is in addition to last year's honorees. So it doesn't take anything away from what they did. They were the class of 2022. This is like a Hall of Fame. So they're still all outstanding. And please support all of them in addition to these additional new outlets.
The class of 2022 received awards due to financial complications. We're
constraints.
Gonna have to ask for donations.
Yes. If you want that, yes.
What was your guesstimation of getting all these people awards?
About between $3,000 and $4,000 would be my guess. Considering there are 31 or 32 honorees this year, and that includes having to have them made.
You paid for last year's, pretty much.
Yes, out of my own pocket, but having them made, shipped out, and then to ship to me, and then shipped out to all the honorees because we couldn't drop ship them. There were too many. But Off Guardian is one of the top outlets, and they're certainly deserving. I reached out to them, and I told them about what's going on, what we do here, and that we wanted to honor them, and they were so pleased. They said that they were going to simulcast this broadcast, so hopefully they are. I offered them anything they needed in order to do so. We are big fans of Kit Knightley and Kat Black, and I really found out about them mostly because of Whitney Webb and originally CJ Hopkins. But they've been doing great work for years, and the reason why they're called Off Guardian is because the stuff you put there, that they put on their site, you'll never find on Guardian, which is garbage. So Off Guardian, please support their work, their website. They also have a Rockfin channel, interestingly enough, and YouTube. So if they do stream out, they're on Telegram as well as on Twitter X. Again, off-guardian.org. They are one of these outlets that NewsGuard likes to screw with. In addition to Racket News, in addition to Consortium News, Off Guardian has a real hard time when it comes to Twitter was putting visibility filtering and putting warning labels on links to Off Guardian. We really get reconnection successful. Wait, reconnection. Are we back? Buffering. Down, up. Are we still up?
No, we seem to be back.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Okay. Off Guardian. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We only have 6 or 8 more. All right, back. Good. Siddiq says we're back. Popular information, so we're going to get through this fast. You love saying Bean Boy because Judd Legume left Think Progress. Judd Legume, that was the first time, by the way, OBS has ever actually recovered the stream. Thank goodness. Woo! I didn't want to have to make another one. By the way, if we do go down and crash again, we're not probably going to come back. We will record the rest of this, and I'll end up uploading it and splice it together and upload it if we have to. But thank goodness we're back. But next outlet after Off Guardian is Popular Information. They were one of the very first Substack outlets, and they weren't an outlet. It was just Judd Legume started a Substack after Think Progress went under, thanks to Neera Tanden and the Center for American Progress taking over Think Progress. They shuttered it. Judd didn't know what to do, so he went, and I don't even know how he connected with the guys at Substack, but this is what he decided was he dedicated to publishing 4 days a week
He's now got a team of 3. Tesnim Zakaria and Rebecca Crosby are also a part of the Popular Information team. And they're phenomenal. Occasionally I disagree with the work they do, but they are accountable. They call themselves accountability journalism. I agree with that. They are one of the best money chasers in the business, and they have exposed stories that we've covered more than a dozen popular info stories on How Do We Miss That? About normally Democratic Party corruption. He also is very focused on Republicans. For example, what was going on in the Tennessee State House and how there was the Tennessee House Speaker was living in a district that wasn't even his own and then getting stipends for travel, even though he was living in the city. He was taking double payouts all over the place, and he caught it. Why? Because that guy wanted to punish and expel the Kentucky or the Tennessee person that was speaking out when on behalf of guns and going after gun control. He's also gone after Ron DeSantis and the library stuff like you talked about earlier. You know, and I think just last week we talked about the News Guild. No, the News Guild story wasn't theirs, but we did a Tesnim Zakaria story a couple weeks ago from Popular Information. Big fan of the outlet. Please support them. They're making an offer right now. I think it's $40 a year. You can subscribe to Popular Info and get premium access. And really, he doesn't put anything behind a paywall, which is one of the big things that I'm a big fan of. Not paywalling your content and standing on the quality of your work. And I reward that. I'm a paid subscriber to Popular Information for that. The other outlet that we're going to honor tonight is the Brockovich Report. And maybe some of you know who Aaron Brockovich is, because if you're older, you most certainly do. I know you like to say, they're called boobs, Ed.
They're called boobs, Ed.
Right? So, Aaron, even this year, she was a champion and spokesperson somewhat for the people of East Palestine. She continues to report on East Palestine and talk about it when most people in the media have forgotten about it.
And it's censored because the word Palestine is censored. So, you know.
Now, 2 years ago, when we started doing How Do We Miss That? Before we even had INN, one of the very first articles that we did was from Aaron Brockovich's new Substack. And we were like, hey, Aaron Brockovich is a Substack. Did anybody know that? That literally was like, how did we miss that? And we've covered a lot of Brockovich Report articles because she's one of the best environmental reporters. Her and Suzanne Boothby, who is the ghostwriter who I think does a lot of the work behind the scenes to help Aaron with the Substack that she wrote. Go to the BrockovichReport.com. You can subscribe to that for free, or you can support. She also has a website, Facebook, Instagram. She's just recently on Instagram at The Real Aaron Brockovich. Again, just like all the other ones, you can mouse over, see them, see who writes them and contributes, and then you can subscribe right there. And now we get to the final category of the night, which is the video creators. All right, this is a new category we decided to add. Go ahead, brief.
No,
I thought you had something. So, video creators, like people were saying last year, you know, there's a whole bunch of people that you could include that certainly create media, but they don't live stream. They don't write. What do? They make funny videos that people share all over the place. They make viral cut.
AKA editors.
They're video editors and creators like Matt, Orfala, Orf, the Orf Report, Racket News, Censored News. He actually put something out today on Racket News. He's a contributor to Racket News. Has his own Substack. He's been censored off YouTube quite a bit. He's talked about the COVID narrative. He's talked about Joe Biden stuff. He's talked about, you name the topic. He's been able to assemble a collage of corporate media narrative stuff that proves that when media is trying to blanket push something and exposes that. we first all learned about Orf back in the Bernie. He made a Bernie video that went viral early on for the campaign. And yes, Charlie G also is an incredible, by the way, video creator and editor. I wasn't able to get her on the list this year, but certainly she keeps doing what she's doing. She'll be certainly here in the future. Joe, our brother Joe. And I had a lot of reservations about putting somebody from INN on this list because it's almost like you're giving yourself an award in a way. But while Joe
this guy deserves it.
While Joe is INN, he kills it. He deserves it. He kind of is on an island, even though he puts a lot of stuff out that has the INN logo on it. So I don't feel guilty in including him in this group because he is one of the top video creators. He's helped us make videos about Chris Smalls. He helped Reef and Colin make the intro video for INN News. He's helped me make intro videos. He actually put the original indie in one of the indie Stitch Assist videos or the INN video. Joe's awesome. So follow Joe. Joe's also had his Twitter taken away a few times. He's been on TikTok, if you haven't known. But if you could follow him, he's got a couple different accounts on TikTok in case they ever decide to throw him off there. He's already prepared. And he's on Facebook and Instagram. All Joe's links are here on this Substack page.
Another good special mention, Micmac Pollen. This is a video maker. Does great stuff.
Misha, yes, for sure.
Misha. Yeah.
Misha and Charlie.
Producer
just a couple
for
names
the Jimmy Dore show.
Look, man, we don't get everybody every time. It's not a complete list of everybody. We always are missing people, but these are the people that we have consistently
some
over
for next
time.
year.
Yep. Case. Happy birthday, Case Study QB, who's on a cruise and he's out of touch right now. Right. Also, right. Joe made the Powerless video. Thank you, Cynic, for that reminder.
Yep.
But Case Study QB, somebody said to me today, I think it was Colin, Case, what about Case? Well, what about Case? Case does the hard work of watching the corporate media channels and clipping the segments that nobody else in our space wants to. The thankless job of doing that. And we appreciate and honor that. His clips are used on a bunch of different Indie Media Award channels like Hardlands Media. I know Kit shouts him out all the time. Sabby Sabs as well. And Case has been a contributor and is trying to change the narrative as an independent as well. A couple years ago, he came to us with an idea called the Political Gauntlet that he'd like to see candidates run through and a series of questions in order to gain what their policy positions are on a bunch of different issues that he liked to call the gauntlet. So big fan of Case Study QB. They do some live streaming, but mostly they do video editing, or he does video editing and puts out these clips of people on corporate media saying stuff that we need to hear and that we then end up criticizing and talking about on shows. So I want to give him a shout. Follow again, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, also on Substack, but not publishing yet. Now, this is a guy who's incredibly humble and said, there's no way I deserve one of these, but yes, Turncoat Don, you certainly do. Don has made some awesome videos. He made the videos where he puts independent personalities and splices them and superimposes them as if they're appearing on corporate TV.
And that's one of the many things he does.
Yes. He also talks about, he spliced stuff together. Big fan of Glenn Greenwald, Taibbi.
Versus series he's done.
Right.
If words were violence or whatever.
If words were violence, where one opponent is getting smacked up all the time and it's a knockout, a fatality by the end of it. But yes, Turncoat Don is great. So you can definitely go follow and support and subscribe to Turncoat Don wherever you can. he set up a Rumble, but he doesn't have any videos up there. I've been begging him to back up his YouTube because at some point we know that the censors and the nanny state's going to come after him there. I've also asked him to potentially set up a Substack because that's where people could really follow and even donate and subscribe when he puts out new stuff, and unfiltered hit people's inboxes with that. So next, we have a much smaller, but certainly no less worthy contributor and honoree, friend of the show and the network, who I just discovered this year, and he just started doing this year. He just finished episode 39 of the Independent Review, and his name is Ryan. And what Ryan does, I have a real affinity for, because he kind of takes the concept of what I was doing at Independent Left News in aggregating the best of independent media. He's doing it with video. He watches hours and hours and hours of video every week and then takes the best segments from 6 or 7 or 8 different live streams and stitches them together into one live stream, 2 or 3 hour uploaded video that he then pushes out to all of his channels. He's featured INN. He's featured AM Wake Up with Steve Poikonen. He's featured The Last American Vagabond and Rebunked with Scott Armstrong and Unlimited Hangout with Whitney Webb and The Conscious Resistance with Derek Bros and Corbett Report and Charlie Robinson's Macroaggressions podcast. He's featured a rotation of a ton of different independent creators that I'm a big fan of what he's doing. And I've seen him grow from pretty much the time he launched and had no followers. And he's got a few here and there. He certainly deserves a ton more. So if you haven't followed him and you don't know Ryan from the Independent Review, go follow Ryan at all his channels over here. He's again on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Telegram. One of these days we'll get him on to Rockfin as well. I think he needs more subscribers in order for Rockfin to consider that. So let's support him and get him onto Rockfin by getting him some more subscribers and support independent media and independent aggregators and editors. And that's what he's doing. He's editing a bunch of different stuff to create his own unique thing, which is what we do.
Yep.
And then finally, we have our 31st and final entrant, and then we'll get to boats. And that's Postuopolist, friend of the show, friend of the network. I think everybody has seen or watched and shared a video of Postuopolist, who also used to be called Dirtbag Leftist. So twitter.com, x.com/@dirtbagleft1. And that's the only place you'll find him, by the way. I messaged and I was like, are you anywhere else? Like, I used to be on Reddit years ago, but that got ridiculous, especially after Ukraine. They kept knocking my stuff off. So no, we're just on Twitter. I'm like, please, I beg you, set up something as a backup, because censorship with Elmo is terrible. And if they knock you out, all that amazing content you've made is going to get lost, number one. And number two, we're going to lose you. How do we even know if you're back? I mean, you'll have to make some great videos and then we'll have to figure it out and help you rebuild. And I've helped several people do that. And that's one of the things that we do in Indie Left. So that is our 31 for 2023. That is, again, in addition to the 20 some odd, to the 38 from 2022. Our 2022 list. You can go to right here. Here's the 2022 list on the homepage. You've got our complete honorees, and then by category, each individual one.
Yep.
I'll
Show
also
people
be
one of those awards they can help fund. You know, and where they can help fund that at.
Well,
We
where
should
they
have
can
a
help,
picture of one of the honorees with that.
where they can help fund it is there, but the honoree, I'll have to grab that somewhere else.
Yeah, you have that somewhere.
Yeah, I just posted that recently in a chat, so here it is. Here we go. But if you can, we are looking to fund awards that look like that. Oh yeah, that guy. I think you all know who that guy is. Indie Media Award honoree from 2022, Jimmy Dore. But we don't just have Jimmy Dore. We also have a photo from our friend of the show, Kit Cabello. So I'm going to bring that up in a second. Kit took the picture and didn't realize the first time that it was backwards. The award was backwards. So I'm like, hey man, you gotta do that again.
It is a hard award to like photo, which I find funny since it's being given to like journalists who it's clear, it's see-through, you know?
Right?
It's an invisible award.
It is clear acrylic, and there is our brother Kit holding his Hard Lens Media Indie Media Award. So we would love to be able to give these out next year. I mailed these out to a lot of the honorees. I actually have half of them still sitting here from last year because I never got an address or somewhere to send it to. But we'll make them for the people who want them, and if we get some funding for them. But wow, thank you for everybody thank you everybody for sticking with us. And again, please go to the indiemediaawards.substack.com. Support these incredible journalists, content creators, podcasters, YouTubers, live streamers, video creators, everybody. Awesome. Man, where would we be without this group of people today? Seriously. Lost and blind is the answer. So for those who don't know, yes, Gamer, you arrived too late, but that's okay. You can always go back. We've been live and we had a crash, but we're back now. So let's do this. Boats smashing into other boats.
Do you want to like get rid of the extra channels and maybe even start a new stream so that you don't lose this one? Or what do you want to do? Be back in 5? Go, take a bathroom break and...
Blarg says, I support Bean Boy. Oh, I love it. That's quote of the night right there. Bean Boy.
Feel free to tag Bean Boy.
Nice. Yeah.
Good job, Bean Boy.
I messaged him earlier tonight. Thank you, Yeti. I really appreciate it. Didn't get to all of it yet. Yeti, INN member. The Yeti lines. Check out Yardening with Yeti over on the INN Substack also. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Charlie. Bonans, we got Anthony in the chat. What's up, my brother Anthony? Anthony, who's been with us along the ride and followed and watched since I started doing content, since I was just a fan in Richie Medhurst's chat. On it, by the way, 2022 honoree, an absolute fire. Richie Medhurst, who's been inspirational this month and a total leader. But let's get to some boats, because we need some fun after this week. So let's do it.
And I watch mindless shit, boats that smash into other boats.
Other boats.
Do you kill the other channels? And I thought we were going to take a...
I'm not doing it.
You should. I don't want to get Misty's thing popped, is the thing.
All right. Well, I can go and stop it over at Misty's channel for sure. Hang on. Let me pop into Restream.
Or we make a boat stream, whatever.
I don't want to make a boat stream because then I have to start all over with everybody, but I can...
Whatever.
Say goodnight to Misty's channel.
I just don't want to get this stream pulled because it's,
Well, if it's on Misty's channel, I'm not too worried about it.
Yep.
Okay, why is page unresponsive?
Whatever.
Wait. Why is this not working? Come on. Wow. My browser is super slow. It's like... Okay, come on, keep waiting. No. Okay, Restream itself. Okay, there. It's just catching up. It's just catching up.
If we get people to go over to Rockfin and Rumble, I would say just kill all the streams. But
on YouTube,
for some reason, you guys don't like doing that. Yeah.
Exit page.
So
screw it. Reload that Restream page. For some reason,
internet is fun.
No, it's just restream when you're live and trying to turn and looking at the channels that are active. It is super slow. It's just like freezing it's literally page unresponsive. I cannot do anything. Okay. You know what? You know what? Maybe we'll make a new stream for boats.
Okay.
God.
Cool. Great. I can go pee, get some tea.
No,
guys, stay tuned.
Come on,
Boats
man.
will be right after this, so stay tuned to the channel.
God damn it. Because I don't have an outro. I don't have an anything.
Kill the streams.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hit the. I'm gonna kill it, and I'll hit the kill switch, and we'll make a new one. So come back, everyone, for boats.
Okay.
Night, everyone. But we'll be back. Come back.
Indie News Network, collaborative family of independent content creators. Co-hosted normally by me, Indie. I'm founder and editor of Indie Left News and Indie Media Today. I got Reef Breland sitting next to me.
At Kennedy News.
Is Andrew Rivera on The Handsome Cynic?
It's Politics and Survival.
My name is Jesse Jett.
It's American Tradition.
What's up, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden.
I mean, I mostly make art for INN.
Big Man Crab Joe. Keep up those great videos.
Hey guys, it's Yeti. Coming at you.
Hello, my name is Lucy from Blue Moon Red Wine.
This is Chris Legion.